This is the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a soul-led leadership coach to women in midlife who are wanting more meaning in the second half. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute, nor is it to convey professional, psychological, financial, or medical advice. If you could use such services, please seek them out from someone you trust. Episode 143. Have you ever wondered what your inner power may look like as an animal? Well, head over to NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/quiz and you can find out. It's just a quick 2-minute quiz that I created for you. This is a topic that comes up so often in my coaching work with women where they stand in their power and feeling empowered. And so you can head over there, NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/quiz and check this quick little thing out for you. And if you want more tips and information, you can just sign up after you take the quiz. Well, welcome, sisters. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about living life in balance. And many of you know, if you've been following me for a while, I like to say in harmony. And standing in your inner power. So if you're not aware, I started this podcast back in May of 2018. And as I've said before, I had some support from friends of mine in helping me kind of develop a logo. Then a logo company actually helped me fully create it with this design I had envisioned in my head and with some feedback from my friends. Well, recently, I had it reflected to me how my logo and my episodes actually reflect what it is that I do as a coach. And I know this may sound kind of silly, but at the time this person said it, I was like, what? What are you talking about? I knew when I began this second journey of podcasting, again, I've done a podcast before called Launching Your Daughter. I didn't want to focus just on one specific area. There are some incredible podcasts that do just that, whether it's focusing just on marketing, email list building, business, marriage, parenting, etc. And I really wanted something for women that covered those areas, but more, where either my guests or myself, we really challenge outdated mindsets to more deep level, soul level belief systems and what is really guiding you going forward in life. And when I reflect back on these episodes, so many of these topics really do come up for women who are in midlife and wanting to, maybe who aren't feeling so fulfilled or they've kind of lost some of their passion and purpose. And it was funny because the person who reflected this back to me, it was like, so it's not like kind of like spirit or the divine has been guiding you all along the way. And I'm like, you're totally right. Many coaches use this template. It's called the Wheel of Life, where when people sign up for coaching, right, it's the person coming into the coaching that they want to create their own goals. Well, this Wheel of Life, sometimes called the Wheel of Balance, or again, like I say, the Wheel of Harmony, it's all about coming into wholeness. And then the women that I work with, they design their goals around these specific areas, which I'll go over in just a second. Well, when I had it reflected back about my logo, there's literally 8 women that are in a circle. And for me, the reason why I called it the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, right, it was for women to come together and get connected and really talking about things at a deeper level, at soul level. Well, as you go in my logo, there's also a flower right in the very middle, which for the Wheel of Life, the Wheel of Balance, they talk about coming from your core values, which to me is also what this logo does too. And the logo itself is like a mandala, because then it kind of spirals out, flowers out. And then I've got different colors within the logo that actually remind me of the chakra systems and the energy systems within that. So if you have one area of your life that is off, and let's say it's your business or your career and that's off, and it actually throws so many other areas of your life off, right? A wheel is round. And so is it smooth or is it jagged? Is life going really easy or is there a lot of like bumps along the road? And that's really what the Wheel of Life, the Wheel of Balance is there when you go to create your goals in coaching. that you're really reflecting on those areas and really looking at what are my values, and am I coming from my value system, where am I living life that others are telling me to live? Again, doing the performing, the people pleasing, and the perfectionism. You're coming more from that fear-based place versus really living in alignment with who you are and where you are at this point in time in your life. So the 8 areas of the life that are covered in this are the social, fun, playing. Do you play often? And I know many adults, they don't. You look at your romance and intimacy areas. You look at family and friends. You look at business and career. You look at finances. You look at your physical well-being. You look at your health well-being and your spirituality. Those are the 8 areas that are explored when you do individual coaching with me. And some of my group coaching stuff is going to be based on, again, these same areas that you're going to design around what you want to work on. And when those areas are in balance, you are literally standing in your own power, meaning you're empowered, but you really are owning your own strength and courage, the ups and the downs, but you feel good about you. So when this person reflected it back to me, she was like, so you cover those topics, right, in your podcast? And I'm like, you are absolutely right. I never really explored it that way, and how this all kind of came together with really me not being truly conscious of why I was picking the topics in the area that I was. I was going after the guest, and I liked what they were doing out in the world. I liked how they were making changes in the world. I liked how they were leading other women and things. But we definitely have conversations regarding your career, being an entrepreneur. I like to talk about money and women feeling good about being abundant and earning money and saving money. Because again, I've got that accounting background, and I've done a course for therapists as well regarding their money and managing it. Breaking through old money mindsets. We talk about relationships. There's a ton of episodes regarding romance and intimacy and those type of relationships. We've talked about family and parenting, talked about friendships, talked about spirituality in a lot of different episodes. We talk about having some fun social time, the hobbies, things like that. One of my loves is being a weaver, also a fiber spinner, which I haven't done for a while, but it's still there. Talk about your health, like your well-being and what it means as we get older as women. We talk about your physical health, talking about exercise and things like that. And if any of those areas are off for you, go back and get really curious. Like, okay, again, what are my values where I'm leading my life from? And if an area is off, what exactly is off? What is it that I'm doing that maybe I just need to do a small little shift and get it back on track? What is it that I'm believing about this specific area? Is it I will never be able to get my physical strength back? Is it that I avoid going to the doctors and asking questions because I really don't want to know the results? Is it I'm afraid to ask for what I want in my romantic partnership? Is it I struggle with saying no to family and friends, even though I'm exhausted, right? There's a ton of conversations that I have had both with guests and in solo episodes that actually cover every single one of these areas. And to me, this is what lights me up. And I'm going to continue in this area as I go forward. I know so many of you have been with me for a while, and you've heard me kind of switch my focus from being introverted to highly sensitive to now women in midlife. Those topics are all still going to be covered. It just is more geared towards women who are in midlife and maybe feel lost and wanting things to be differently and just not too sure what to do. And this is a place where it can be explored. It's really allowing ourselves as women to stand in our own power and feel empowered to continue to break down old paradigms, to continue to break through old constructs that really don't serve us and they don't serve the next generation that is coming up. So much is really re-educating the young women and the young men about what it means to be inclusive, what it means for equality, what it means to allow for differences, and that differences really make our world an incredible place. I continue to be taught by so many colleagues and conversations that are being had, and they're not easy conversations. Oh my goodness, there's definitely some what do I want to say? Some fierce intention behind some tones. I'll say it that way. But it's helping me really challenge some of my old stories or even give me information and insight that I'm like, I never even thought of it that way, or I don't even know what I don't even know. And when these conversations are coming up about equality, when they're coming about inclusivity, when it's coming up about racism, there's still so much for me to learn and to help stand with those who have been marginalized, who have been shunned, who have been living in a constant state of fear for their own safety, for their own well-being. And I appreciate these tough conversations, but so much about this, lady, is whatever the guest is that I have on, whatever the topic of conversation is, if you give yourself permission to stay curious and open to being truly coached, open to new information, you'll begin to shift these things, whether you on a more conscious level. And it's knowing that it's okay for you to say, I've outgrown some of these things, that they're no longer working for me. And that's part of where, if your energy level is going down, I really would encourage you to look at these 8 areas and explore, where are you leaking energy? Are you saying yes when you mean no? Do you no longer believe something that was taught to you when you were much younger? Are you ready to stand in your own truth and your own power? And again, I can't tell you how many different guests have talked about, it's like, this is my truth right now in this moment. It doesn't mean that it can't change. We're not stagnant beings. We actually do evolve. We continue to evolve because we gain more learning and understanding if you're open to that. So my action steps for you today. 1, I'm going to totally encourage you to go out and take the new quiz. What's your inner power as an animal at NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/quiz, or you can just go out to the show notes here and there will be a link in the show notes. I also want you to get curious. If you've not looked at what values are driving your decisions, go out to Google, Google values, take the top 10, then narrow it down to top 5, and then go through the 8 areas that I shared today and see if you are really basing your decisions off those values that you have for yourself. And again, our values can change and shift a little bit, but really paying attention to what does guide my decision making. All right, ladies, I know this is a shorter episode, but I just wanted to share this recent kind of insight regarding my logo and how I actually base my coaching practice, which is off these 8 areas. And it's all about connection so that you live a life that is much more in balance for who you are, that it embraces your temperament, and that life can go a lot more smoothly when you are in harmony and alignment. All right, until next time, take care. Thank you for listening. And if you're interested to find out what your inner power is as an animal, head over to NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/quiz. Till next time.